Happy Friday and hello to everyone. And thank you so much for joining us for this another Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much for coming in. And once you have come in, please invite someone else to come in so they too can join us for this session that we will be having today. My co-host, Dr. Marcia, love to use the word sizzling topic. And so we will be talking about another sizzling topic here today. We will be talking about pivotal leadership and growing through challenging times or leading through challenging times. That will be our topic for discussion today, leading through challenging times. And we all know that times and seasons change. And from time to time, we're faced with challenges. And the questions are, how does a leader, whether you're a leader for yourself, in your family, in your workplace, church, school, wherever you are, how does a leader maneuver those challenges? How does that leader exhibit resilience and determination to carry through? How do they maintain their belief and focus in times when it is challenging? And those are some of the hard questions that we will be looking at today and giving you answers so that if you're at a point in your life where you are facing challenges, you can know how to maneuver those challenges and grow through them. I am Dr. Janice Brooks, and with me is my co host, Dr. Siegfried Howell and Dr. Marcia Thomas. I am a life strategist, a part of the Maxwell team of leadership coaches, speakers, and trainers. I'm also a licensed pastoral counselor. I help you to grow your life by giving you a strategy to use for everything that is needed and desired. And that's it in a nutshell. Dr. Howell, please go ahead and introduce yourself, and then Dr. Marcia.
Yes, my name is Dr. Siegfried Howell, and I am a relationship coach and consultant. And what that basically means, I help people deal with their internal and their external relationships and their intimate relationships. I also help people with leadership and management. I'm a coach and consultant in the leadership and management field where I help individuals create synergy within the work environment. And I'm also a master life coach.
Thank you so much. Dr. Marcia, it seems as if you're on mute.
All right. Hi, and I'm Dr. Marcia Thomas. I am a certified Christian leadership and professional life coach. I simply empower, help high achieving Christian leaders in a professional workplace remain relevant, resilient, and exemplary, especially in the tough times. And I am a master coach and also a trainer. And so there we have it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And just for our audience to know, we do work together as a team. We worked individually on our separate projects. But if you are in need of a life coach, someone who specializes in Christian, someone who specializes in relationships, someone who is a counselor, we have our individual practices that we do, and we also work together. Additionally, there are many persons who would love to be able to do their own lunch and learn and their own audio live sessions. We also help with that as well. If you have the desire to start your own audio live or your own lunch and learn or whatever you call it, we are available to sit alongside you to help you to learn and to grow and to become your best self. So please connect with us. At my website is drjanicebrooks.com. Dr. Siegfried Howell, say your website for me, Dr. Howell.
SiegfriedHowell.com.
Dr. Marcia.
drtpmotivate2.com.
Wonderful. So you can connect with us, and we are here to help you to learn and to grow. So let's dive into today's topic, because this is something that we all want to learn. You see, life will throw us boulders. As a matter of fact, life will throw us blocks at different points in our life. And that is where pivotal leadership comes in, growing through challenging times and growing through challenging circumstances. The very word pivotal means a crucial moment, or of crucial importance in relation to something happening in your life. And pivotal leadership and defining moments are actually the same thing, because these moments are what makes a great leader. In each of our lives, we're faced with all of these moments from time to time. And these moments, some of them test us to the core. And that is usually what defines what we are made of. Because it places a demand on our authentic self. Those moments can either strengthen us or shatter us. And so, if I were to define what pivotal leadership really means, I would say pivotal leadership in one sentence is when you come to the end of yourself and you know that in order to continue to move forward, you must persevere, because there is nothing else that you can do but to persevere. And that is what pivotal leadership means: to persevere, to keep going, to think and to act differently in challenging times. Dr. Marcia, what would you say pivotal leadership is?
And I'd say it's all of what you have said, including that it is really a style of leadership that requires you to be initiative and to demonstrate courage as you bounce back from setbacks, disappointment, crisis, trauma. It is really the steps that you take to steer yourself and to adapt to your circumstances and successfully transition from one stage to another. It can be a defeating, overwhelming moment, but your courage, your determination, and the strategies that you use to bounce back and to step back into yourself and to fill out those spaces that have been created is really what we call pivotal leadership.
Excellent point. It's filling those spaces that forms and creates that pivotalness in leadership. Dr. Howell, give us your take on pivotal leadership.
I'd like to go a little step further by saying that it's guiding people and organizations through major transformations and uncertainty during times of adversity. And so it's basically where the leader has to step out of their comfort zone and lead in an area that is unknown to them. So it takes grit, it takes stamina, it takes self-perseverance, like was said earlier. And it's also making critical decisions and taking courageous action during significant shifts. So you might be given a task that you thought you were prepared for, but because of certain unknown factors, it went in a totally different direction. So now you have to change your leadership style, or you have to change your team members, or you might have to grow, or you might have to do additional training. And it's how you respond in those situations that determine how you get through that adversity. And so are you flexible? Are you willing to assess the situation and take the data needed to make a better decision and move forward? So pivotal leadership is your ability to change or to pivot when things go awry, when things become murky, cloudy, and uncertain.
Wow.
And that, Dr. Brooks, if I could interject, I think that we what that is both personally and professionally. And so it's very important that we understand that everybody at some stage in their lives have had to pivot, because life in itself is very uncertain. And one of those examples and we can take many from the Bible. But Job situation is really a very clear indication, you would agree, of one of the greatest pivots in life. Of course, Joseph would be out there, but Job in itself has become an enduring century after century example, because so much was taken away from him. So much, he lost so much in every era of his life. As a community leader, as a father, as a husband, he lost so much. And he himself said, if we look back at Job 3:25, that the things that I fear the most are the things that have overtaken me. And so we are expected that pivotal leadership is very challenging. It's very hard. It can be very overwhelming. And very few persons understand what it means and how to bounce back without support. But in life, pivotal leadership sometimes comes naturally, and sometimes it is forced upon us.
I like that. Sometimes it is natural, and sometimes it is forced upon us. Excellent points, Dr. Marcia. So, Dr. Howell, based on what Dr. Marcia has just explained, we want to look a little bit further as how does one maintain belief and focus during challenging times? And I just want to say, before I come over to you, Dr. Howell, maintaining belief and focus sometimes can be, and I'm saying this, elusive when the time is challenging. So it makes no sense that we believe that we have this thing all together and we can do it. And that is why I love the quote or the saying. We used to say it back home in Jamaica. We used to say, no man is an island, no man stands alone. And that is critical when challenging times come. That's many times you have to draw on others. When times are tough and challenging, a leader has to remember that one can chase 1,000, but two will put 10,000 to flight. So you have to pull onto the strength of others and do not believe that you can do it all on your own. There is also a scripture in Ecclesiastic that says, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves, and a 3 card is not quickly or easily broken. That sums up the fact that when times are challenging, pull on somebody else, be in the right company, ask for help. Don't decide to just take this on all by yourself, because as I said before, challenges will make us and they will break us. So what I am saying here, you can't fight every battle by yourself. Harness the strengths, the skills, and the abilities of others, your team, a peer group, working with a coach or a mentor like us, reading from credible sources to help you to get through challenging times. What would you add to that, Dr. Howell? And then Dr. Marcia, put your take on it as well.
There is a movie that's out there called 300, and it's a movie of an army made up of 300 fighters that held back a far superior army because of their grit, because of their determination, but not only because of that, but because of focusing not on what they could not control, but focusing on what they could control. They found a path where the army that was coming towards them would have to shrink down to get through that particular area. And so they fought them at a place that was inconvenient to the opposing army. So they didn't fight all of the army at one time. They just fought the head of the army at a given time. And so that brings me to my first point, which is focus on what you have control of. A lot of times in professional and in our personal lives, we focus on the catastrophe. We focus on the things that we have no control over. But what I'm saying to you is a pivotal leader focuses on what they can control. And secondly, they focus on the advantages that they have, not on their disadvantages. So you focus on the positives. What resources do we have here that can help us restructure the way we plan to move forward and then move forward? Next, you have to focus on your emotional intelligence. You have to, as a leader, you might get caught blindsided but you cannot crumble and cry like your team might be able to do. You have to keep it together, even though you may not have the answers, and you have to motivate your team to dig deep and find solutions so that they can move forward. So a pivotal leader must swallow that fear and harness the enthusiasm and the skill set and the motivation of the team to move forward, even though you're shaking in your boots on the inside. The third point I want to bring out is that a pivotal leader must always surround themselves with people that are superior to them, especially in the areas where they're weak. A leader should not be a one-man team. A leader should bring people in that are exceptional in other topics that they may not be good in other skills that they may not be good in. So don't be intimidated by smart people. Surround yourself with smart, like-minded, like-valued people, and use them to help you motivate yourself in areas where you're weak. And the last point I want to bring out is the fact that growth takes place daily. You should be journaling. You should be self-improving. You should be self-learning. You should be doing everything in your power to equip yourself to be the best possible leader you can be, so that you can stay ahead of the game and so that you can see past a lot of the problems that other people might not see. In the words of Warren Buffett, they said Warren Buffett sits and reads every day stocks, investment strategies, and he reads anything to do with investments, and he outreads everyone else. That's why over the last 30 years he's been so successful at investment, because he pours into his self-development. He makes sure that he sees trends that other people don't see. He sees pitfalls where other people don't see, and that's because he's willing to put in the time for self-development and self-nurturing.
Beautiful. I like this, particularly 2 points that you made. Surround yourself with people who are superior to you. Don't be intimidated by smart people, because that is so critical in order to help you to grow through challenging times. And the other point you made, you said focus on the positives, focus on emotional intelligence. Those are powerful points, Dr. Howell, that will take you through critical times in life. Dr. Marcia, add your value to that, please.
I feel that to maintain your core values as a leader in difficult times, and I I will have to be speaking from the paradigm of being a Christian leadership professional life coach. I want to say that we have to focus on what we know and not on what we see. Because what we see is temporary. What we know is what we have already gone through, and know how God has led us in the past, and know that he's able to keep us now in the present, and that if he brought us through it, he has already made the way to carry us through. And so we have to focus on what we know and not on what we see. We have to fuel our resilience with faith, the faith that all things are possible and nothing is impossible, and this too will pass. So in these challenging times, your faith, which really should be one of your foundations of your core value as a Christian leader or as a optimistic growth mindset individual, must be that I have the skills, I have the capability, I have the talents, and I have the greater source that will keep me and carry me through these tough times. So that's the second thing. So the first thing is focusing on what you see, on what you know, and not what you see. The second thing is harnessing your faith and resting on the belief that with God, all things are possible. And the third thing that you want to do is that you want to think carefully. You want to make decisions based on logics and facts and not on emotions, because sometimes fear and self-doubt and uncertainty and negative self-talk can limit us and let us not know that we have the strength in us to navigate these tough times. We also need to avoid persons who come with as miserable comforters. I am with Job today because these miserable comforters come with gloom and doom and feel that this will not get better and it can't get better. And if it was me, what I would do. They are not you and they are not in your situation. So use the facts to do what you know that you can do, resting in that higher power, and have people around you, support people around you that can carry you, hold your hand, and help you to come through this darkness until you get to the light at the end of the tunnel. Because believe it or not, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Finally, I want to say, learn the lessons that you are getting in this difficult time and see how these lessons resonate with your core values and beliefs, and use your core values and belief to confront and successfully tackle these issues that have become overwhelming and that you cannot avoid, because these are your building blocks for your new season.
Wow, I think we're getting hotter and hotter today. We are making some critical points here. We're talking about growing through challenging times. Dr. Marcia just put the season on it a while ago. She said, focus not on what you see, but on what you know. And she said she's moving with Job today. She said, find your leadership with resilience, fuel it with resilience, and harness it with your faith. Those are some powerful points. And as Dr. Marcia was talking about, focus on what you know and not on what you see. It reminds me of Hezekiah, the King Hezekiah, when he was told, he got a letter to tell him that an army was coming against him, and he said, but we can't fight that army. That's too much for us. And instead of focusing on what he saw, the letter, he went into the temple and he spread the letter and he said, God, this is the letter, you read it. Because you are greater than this army that is coming. That was his knowledge, that God was greater than the army. So as leaders, whether in your workplace, in your home, you have to have something to connect to say that, hold on to this one thing, because it's not what I see, it's what I know. That is so powerful. Thank you so much for that. My two co-hosts, I love you so much. I thank you for just pouring out what he has given you to pour out to people in these times when we're helping people to learn and to grow. This is not just us coming on here from week to week and speaking. Our intention, our purpose is to help you to become better in your lives. And as we told you before, we're available to come to your teams, to come to your church, to come to your school, to come to your community event, wherever you want us to speak on whatever topic. We will make ourselves available should God allow us to do so that we can help you to learn and to grow. And I'm moving on because we're talking about leading through challenging times and growing through challenging times. And so how does challenges work to disrupt our beliefs and our, Dr. Marcia talk about core values and even our focus. And I say, yes, challenges will make us or break us. They will cause us to doubt ourselves. They will even change how we feel about ourselves. They will act to change the value that we place on ourselves. Challenges will even cause you to feel worthless, to feel like you're nothing. Because when you're in the middle of the challenge, sometimes you can't see a way out. You can't see a light at the end of the tunnel. And it will make you even feel like you're worthless. As a matter of fact, it will cause people to fear the consequences of their actions. So they're always looking behind them and wondering what if. So you are not able to really make a crucial decision because you fear that if I make this decision, what if? And so these challenging times for every leader, as I said, whether you're in home, school, work, everywhere, you have to watch them because they will diminish you. They will cause you to be worthless. And so change will cause you to focus only on your problems and not on the solutions, which is the critical part. Dr. Howell, add your voice and come back right around to Dr. Marcia.
Mike Tyson is one of the best heavyweight fighters that we've seen in this generation. And Mike Tyson, he had this one quote. He says, everyone has a plan of what they're going to do in a fight until they get hit. And what that means is this: the best laid plans don't always go according to plan. And you have to be willing to pivot. And so when things go awry, a crisis can bring out your insecurities. It can bring out your fears. And like Dr. Marcia said, you cannot rely on your sight, because when you're scared, you get tunnel vision and you can't see your peripherals. And so what you need to do is to dig in and see your resources. They say that when pilots of those small planes, when those planes go into a tailspin and they just spiral, the pilots lose sense of up and down. And a lot of times they want to rely on what they can see to try and steer and get back to right side up. But that's when you have to use your resources. You have equipment there on the plane that are supposed to show you when you have leveled back out. So if you use your eyes, excuse me, to determine whether or not you have come right side up, you might misjudge. But if you use your resources that are there in front of you, you have a better chance of surviving. And so as a leader, you cannot use your sight. You cannot always use your experience. You have to use your resources. Who are the people that are around you, to make sure that you make the best decisions, especially when you're disoriented, because disorientation threatens the ability to balance your priorities and get on the right path. And a lot of times people try to find a quick fix for the solution, where they should be digging deeper and finding a permanent solution. And so if you are a fearful leader, you will look for the quickest way out, not knowing that there will be a plethora of problems that comes behind that. You will stay patching and patching and patching and patching up for the rest or the duration of that particular assignment. And so use your resources. Trust the people you have hired around you to help you make it through. Don't succumb to your fears. Don't succumb to your limitations, your limiting beliefs, and your insecurities. Use what God has given you. And when all else fails, you can turn to your maker like Hezekiah did, and you can get some answers from the Supreme Being.
Wonderful. Now I know it's getting sizzling. Dr. Marcia.
Very powerful. I like the illustration with that boxer. Very good. Dr. Howard, you're well-rounded. Cricketer, boxer, footballer, singer. I want to get back to the point, because you always drop those things and make me get hot in here, and you have to be very careful. Because I want to pay attention to the fact that we must not hate those who don't know what we know. And that's part of the thing. You see, challenges will disrupt you, and challenges, in my mind, will build you. So for me, challenges is a two-edged sword for a pivotal, depending on who it is that has the challenge. And as you say, some persons will look for a quick fix or give up while there's a crisis. And those are the ones who the challenge has disrupted very badly and make them self-doubt and make them feel helpless and hopeless and make them want to give up instead of pivot. And let's face it, life is so serious, and challenge and crisis is so unexpected that if you are not prepared for anything can take you by surprise. So if you are not prepared for anything, then you can always be surprised. Anything will surprise you. But the pivotal leader who understands challenges is not defeated, is not discouraged, is not thrown off, as you have said, and is not focusing on the problem and on the quick fix. They are gradually looking at what is in front of them, the root causes, and they look for solutions. That is the pivoting. Because if you are pivoting in that direction, you will become clearer about what it is that you're about. And you build strength of character that shows you when you overcome that you are capable of anything and that there is nothing that can shake you. You know, there are some persons who have gone through some experience and say, you see, like how me go through that, nothing can disturb me again. Because that is what challenges must do to the pivotal leader. You must learn the lessons. You must build character. You must build resilience. You must build endurance. You must become more flexible and you must become adaptable. What I am sure of is that when challenges are building you in character and in form and in shape, you become open-minded enough to welcome new ideas, welcome growth, welcome development, and welcome change.
Wow. I am loving it more and more every time you guys speak, because you build strength of character in challenging times. And if that doesn't speak to you out there, then I don't know what else will. Because especially in this time when there is a loss of moral compass, it's the challenges that will help you to build that back or to stay on the right track. And if you are a leader out there, whether in your workplace, school, home, whatever, wherever you are, take this away. Crisis helps you to build your character. It doesn't just come to batter you and put you aside. It comes to build your character. We are moving on because we are already out of time. And so when we think about some of the attributes of a pivotal leader, I think that one of the greatest attributes of a pivotal leader is that they are driven by a cause, by a purpose. They believe in something or someone greater than themselves. And Dr. Howell loves to tell stories, so he may be able to tell me about Martin Luther King and all of these great men who have passed through, who are driven by a greater purpose than themselves. And that is what defines a pivotal leader. You have to, in your own way, be driven by a greater purpose than yourself. And the other thing, they are ever seeking ways to learn and to grow. They do not blame others for their shortcomings or for their situations in life. There are many old people now, and I'm going to say this, who are 50, 60, 70 years old, and they're still blaming their parents for things that happen in their life. Get yourself together. You cannot be blaming people in old age for what? You had a life to live, and you are the master of your own life. You decide how you want to live your life. So something that your parents did 40 and 50 years ago, get yourself together. You cannot be blaming them still for that. And that is a spirit of unforgiveness that have overtaken you. If you're still blaming people for things that have happened in your life. And so the greatest leaders, the leaders who are able to pivot, they do not blame others for their shortcomings or for their situations in life. They grow, they take responsibility for their own growth. They persevere, they kept going in spite of obstacles. You have not even endured a quarter of the obstacles that some people have endured in this life, but they kept going because they realized that when they come to the end of themselves, all they have to do is to persevere. Another attribute of pivotal leaders, they are resilient. And friends, whoever is listening to me today, I want to encourage you and I want to tell you that these qualities of resilience, perseverance, and all of these, many of them are inborn traits and tendency, because I'm a counselor and I know, but these also can be learned over time. If you weren't born with them, you can learn to become resilient. You can learn to persevere. You can learn all of these things, because nobody promises us an easy road in this life. One of the greatest leaders of all times, who I love so much, is Paul, the Apostle Paul. And in his second book of Corinthians, I believe he said, 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned, 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and a day in the sea. I faced dangers from rivers and from robbers. He went through so many things. If you read that second Corinthians, he said, I endure sleepless night. I have been hungry and thirsty and gone without food. I shivered in the cold without nothing to keep me warm. You go read it for yourself. You would not be the only one going through challenging times. So I want to encourage you today. Challenging times come to make you, and it come to break you. And you decide what you want it to be. Dr. Marcia, you better pick up here before I start preaching today.
And I want to say, I want to keep it right in that realm, because we don't know who we are talking to. But the Bible says we are not to be surprised by the fiery trials that come upon us, because it's really to test us. Yeah. And so if we are pivotal in ourselves and have all the attributes that you have identified, we have a greater faith and trust in a higher power. We know whom we have belief in. We are resilient. We are strong. Then we also have that faith to know that you are troubled on every side, but you are not and will not be overtaken nor forsaken. Hard pressed, persecuted, beat down, but we are still standing. And so the pivoting leader has to have an attribute where you accept the things that you cannot change, and you have the wisdom to know the difference. And you are also not in the blame game. You don't blame persons for your circumstances, because God works everything for your good. And the weapon, any weapon that is formed against you, cannot prosper. You also do not wallow in self-pity, because that does not carry you anywhere. You need a pivotal leader knows that when all around you is falling or lying down, you must maintain that posture. You must remain standing. And if you are kneeling, it is to surrender to the master and his will for your life and how he's going to take you out. If it is that you are bowing, it is to give him praise and thanksgiving for what he will be doing to get you out. And if it is that you are waving, it must be giving glory and honor to the Most High, because nothing was able to take you out. You are still here.
Wow. Wow. I have a comment here before I go over to Dr. Howell. I believe one of our Facebook persons who are watching, she said, yes, Dr. Janice, we keep blaming others for the past that our older generation did to some of us. But we have to forget the past and focus on the future. Mrs. Garden, thank you so much for that excellent
Very
comment.
much so, yes.
Indeed, we have to move forward. Dr. Howell.
Yes, the serenity prayer goes a little something like this. Help me to know the things that I can change. Help me to know the things that I can't change. No, help me to accept the things that I can't change, and help me to know the difference between the two.
Wisdom, yes.
And so we've seen in our lives, especially in the Bible, we've seen people who have been given a lot of problems and a lot of difficulties, a lot of tests. But a lot of those tests end up being testimonies. So in every test, there's a testimony, and you have to find that testimony. That means you have to endure. You have to have resilience, like Dr. Marcia said and Dr. Janice said. If you look at Joseph, well, before I get to Joseph, there is a motivational speaker by the name of Eric Thomas. And Eric Thomas says he gets paid now to do things that he was doing for free. So he learned by doing it for free because it was his purpose. Now jump backwards to Joseph. Joseph was taught in dreams and visions that he was going to be a leader. But everything in his life told him otherwise. However, when he was in Potiphar's house as a slave, he was an exceptional leader. So he was given everything to be in charge of. except Potiphar's wife. Now, he was not willing to compromise his purpose nor his values for Potiphar's wife. Because of that, he was thrown in prison. But in prison, he did the same thing he was doing outside for free, to the point that they made him ruler over the jail and over the prisoners. So he was practicing his task and his skills even more. So by the time he got to Pharaoh, he was able to manifest his purpose the way he was supposed to, because he had years of learning, years of trials, years of resilience that allowed him to grow into himself. And now I want to go to modern day. I'll take a typical Jamaican. Let's go Usain Bolt. I remember watching Usain Bolt get kicked out of one of the Olympics because he false started twice. But he came back and he killed the next two Olympics.
Say it again.
To the point that he took more gold medals than any other runner in history. And what I want to say is this. Usain Bolt says, and this is one of his quotes, I spent 4 years practicing to run 9 seconds. And so as a leader, as a pivotal leader, that self-development portion is the biggest part, because most of what we go through can be avoided if we just self-develop. But then God blinks in our ignorance and puts people around us to have our back. If we're faithful to him and we grow daily, he will put people beside us to encourage us when we're down, to give us an idea or two when we're down. When we want to give up, he's like, nah, hold on just a little bit longer. And so pivotal leaders, they do the back end work, so that when trials and difficulty comes, it's not an ego thing for them. They use what they know, but if that doesn't work, then they use the people around them. And if that doesn't work, then they call on their creator.
Come on.
And so you have to be adaptable, you have to be resourceful, and you have to be malleable, which means you have to be willing to let other people take lead and bend you in the way that they need you to go, so that everyone goes in the right direction. So a pivotal leader must be able to give up the power to people who have the skill to lead forward for that particular time. And that's one of the hardest things for leaders to do, give up that power.
Wow.
And I think, Dr. Brooks, quickly, I'm going to struck in quickly based on what Dr. Howell has said. It has given me an idea that pivotal leaders must learn how to wait, especially if they understand that if God is never late, they know how to wait differently. They wait patiently. Powerful point you have made, Dr.
Excellent,
Howell.
excellent point. Pivotal leaders must learn to wait. And as a matter of fact, I say pivotal leaders must also learn to surrender. Surrender to a higher power than themselves. Sometimes we hold on too tight to some things without realizing, let it go, surrender, so that it can work. We are down to our last 5 minutes of this program. And I want us to leave our audience with workable strategies that that a leader can take to overcome challenges and to remain focused. Challenges come, as we say, and challenges go. But what are some workable ways? What are some strategies that a leader can take? And I'm going to start off, and we come around circle again. They can share their experiences with others and be open with others, with their team, with the people they work with in their home. Husbands can be open with their wife, be vulnerable. Wives can do the same thing with their husbands. That is how you overcome at times when you are able to share your experiences. You share one experience and you don't realize that 10 other persons are going through the same challenges until you open your mouth to share that experience. Nothing works as well as telling your own story. You see, there is a real enemy that is trying to place us on mute. That enemy would want us to believe that we are in this all alone by ourselves. You are the only one experiencing this. No one is ever else is going through this challenge. You are not worthy. You are not capable. Those are some of the words that we get from the enemy. But when we are able to share our experience, when you're able to share your story, you realize that numerous others are either in the same place or in a worse place than you. And the other thing is, listen also to the experience of others. Sometimes it's not always a quick fix. Dr. Howell said that earlier. Other experiences can teach us vital lessons that we can take and run with. The next thing I say is to pray and ask for divine guidance and divine direction. Sometimes we try to do too many things on our own. Ask for divine guidance. It is there. The Bible says, ask and it shall be given. Seek and ye shall find. Another thing to do is to have a community of people who believe in the same causes, and they will encourage you and cheer you on. They will offer you the ideas and the strategies to overcome. You can overcome as a leader. You can lead through challenging times if you take a hold of some of these strategies, or all of them, and they will be able to help you. Dr. Howell, Dr. Marcia, go ahead and let us go into the final question.
Okay, so one of the things that the Bible talks about is self-development. When they say to pull on the whole armor of God, that means that when you go into battle, everything must be protected. And anything you leave unprotected, that's what the enemy is going to attack. And so my dad used to tell the story about the Achilles heel, where the guy had all the armor on, but he had just the heel of his body exposed. And that was the part where his mother held him to dip him into the water to give him that superhuman strength. And so when you talk about people's Achilles heel, we all have an Achilles heel. Mm-hmm. Some of it might be backbiting, some of it might be insecurity, some of it might be relationships, some of it might be food, whatever it is. And so what I want to start with is this. You have to work on your whole being, spiritual, mental, physical, relational, all aspects of your body, all aspects of your mind, all aspects of your soul. You have to work on building and developing, because the enemy will attack you wherever you are the weakest. That's the first point. Secondly, as pivotal leaders, we have to learn to communicate with ourselves when we're self-doubting. So that means we have to work on our mindsets. We have to work on our limiting beliefs. We have to work on being positive so that we can communicate positivity and resilience and grit to the people in our team. Next, we have to leverage the people around us to make sure that our cup becomes full, because only when our cup is full can we pour out into other people. So leaders, pivotal leaders, and good leaders must have coaches, mentors, and people who help them become the widest, broadest, and most in-depth learners out there, so that they have the resources needed to lead people. And last but not least, we have to validate our emotions and the emotions of the people around us. We cannot just keep pushing people and don't look out for their emotions. When you see that your team is down and out, validate their emotions, but pick them up gently and keep pushing them forward towards the goal, which is solving the problem. That is all I have to say about that.
Excellent. I like that last point. I love that last point. Sorry, Dr. Marcia, Dr. Howell. Excellent final point. Go ahead, Dr. Marcia.
Oh, work on the whole person. I think it's on the screen. I don't want us to miss that point. I want to say, and I want to end using what the Bible says. Be very careful then, and be certain that you are wise, redeeming the times. Don't be foolish. Don't act as a fool. Just be wise. Be sober. and be very vigilant. How do you do that? Do not compare your situation with the next man's situation. Sometimes we compare ourselves and what we are going through with others. We covet their rewards, we covet their peace, we covet their success and their glory. We covet their significance, but their story is their story and your story is your story. So don't compare yourself. Then you also need to trust yourself, accept yourself, and love yourself, and know that there is power within you. And if you trust God and not lean onto your understanding, then you will find the strength and the clarity and gain the clarity to move on. You must also prioritize what matters and what is important to you. And you must focus on the purpose and on the goal, because the goal does not change. It is a time that has changed. And your times are in God's hands, and He knows when it is perfect enough to come into fruition. Sometimes we are rushing ahead and we do not like delay, and we begin to complain and we begin to struggle when there is delay and worsen things for ourselves. Keep your eyes on the goal and keep your eyes on your purpose. Do not lose sight of it if you are detouring. And if God is taking you on another route, the way He took Mary and Joseph when they were sure that the shortest route home would have been the perfect route, and He sent an angel to say, it's another route, but you're gonna get home, but it's another route. Focus on that. And finally, never you become ungrateful. Be joyful in hope. Whatever you are going through, praise God, because believe it or not, it could be worse. And I hear somebody out there saying, what could be worse than so and so? What could be worse than so and so? Because you might just be going through your wilderness experience. I have a chapter in my book that says how to come out of your wilderness experience and live with dignity out of your wilderness experience, because everybody has a wilderness experience. Your wilderness experience, if it does not take you out, means that you will be on the other side of it, telling the story and giving a testament to pull someone else. Dr. Brooks has a saying, if you want to know how to succeed where you're going, ask somebody who is coming back. And that is what I want to end with. Ask somebody who is coming back. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Ask someone who is coming back and believe what they are saying. If they come from the sea and they say to you, which is fish, shark is there, believe fish, because they are coming from it. And that's where I'm ending right now.
Wow, 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 wow. What a session we had today, Dr. Marcia. I love that. Ask the fish. The fish is coming out of the sea. The fish tell you that shark is in there. Believe him, because he's coming out of there. I love it. I love it. I usually say that if you know, every single one of us, we talked about pivotal leadership today, growing through and leading through challenging times. Every single one of us in our lives, we are either in a valley, going into a valley, or coming out of a valley. And unless we realize that we are at one of those places in our lives, and good for you if you're coming out, because when you come out, you can start climbing the mountain. But remember, there's going to be another valley, because this is life. Up and down, up and down. We never live life on a smooth playing field ever. And so I want to thank you so much for joining us today for this Lunch and Learn session. Remember, we are available to speak with your team at work, in your church group, in your community sessions, everywhere that you need us to speak, so long as the Lord leads us. Let me say that. We will be speaking on a topic of either your preference or one that we know is applicable to your situation or to your team or to your growth. And so we want you to connect with us. We will help you to learn and to grow. Additionally, if you want to host your own Lunch and Learn, whether in a private room or you want to host it on the social media, invite one of us or invite all of us. We will be able to sit with you, help you, steer you, maneuver you through your first and few sessions, or whatever time you believe that you're comfortable to do this on your own. That is what we do. Your audio lives, your LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube lives, anyone you want us to sit with you on, we are here. I am Dr. Janice Brooks. I'm a life strategist. I'm part of the Maxwell team of leadership trainers, speakers, and coaches. I'm also a licensed pastoral counselor. There is Dr. Sigfred Howell. He is a life, happiness, and relationship coach and consultant. He's also a master life coach. And there is Dr. Marcia Thomas, and she is she has a core field that she drills down into, and that is Christian leadership. She helps Christian leaders to really learn and grow. It doesn't mean that if you're not a Christian, she will not take you on, but her core space is in Christian leadership. So we want you to connect with us. On any of the medias, you will find us by our name. We would love to help you to learn and to grow. We want to thank you so much for sitting with us for these last 56 minutes. We want to wish you a very Merry Christmas when it comes. We will have a last session, Dr. Marcy, I think next Tuesday morning.
Yes.
It will be our final session before the end of the year. Yes. And then we take a 2 weeks break, and we will be back with you in January. So
and
please.
We want Dr. Brooks, we want to remind them to get their gift for Christmas. So we want them to get A Leader Like You, that book. We want them to get Your Purpose, Living in Your Purpose. And we want them to get Dr. Howell, Your Relationship. Talk to me what it is again.
Yes. One of the books that I've written is called Creating Lasting Love. Is on Amazon.
Yes, that's the one we want to advertise. So we want you to get your Christmas gifts. A Leader Like You on Amazon, Creating Lasting Love on Amazon, and Living Your Purpose on Amazon. Don't forget to get that package. Give it to someone. Grow and develop as you prepare for 2024.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again for joining us. God bless you, and you have a wonderful rest of your day, weekend, and into the rest of the year.
See you in 2024, guys.
All the best.
Bye-bye.